I think success makes you stupid.
Okay,
It really
yeah.
does. I think success makes you lazy. Success makes you fat. And we learn when we lose.
We're all about turning a crappy situation into something positive.
$250,000 of credit
I
card debt.
still remember the day when no one turned up.
Throw it in the garbage and start from
I
scratch.
could give myself a chance, so I started something.
I mean, I think that counts as from poop to gold.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of From Poop to Gold. I'm Daniel Harmon, Chief Creative Officer at Harmon Brothers, the host. And today I have with me Ryan Deiss, who is co-founder and CEO of DigitalMarketer.com.
That's right.
As well as you started Traffic and Conversion Summit. And so talk to me a little bit about DigitalMarketer.com and what that does.
Sure. So Digital Marketer is a digital marketing training company. We don't do the marketing. We train other companies. We train marketers at companies how to be better marketers. And really the company started as a side project. We're needing to train our own team, figure out, ourselves, trying to figure out how does all this stuff happen? How does it work? And I found that a way that I could make some extra money on the side while I was launching my own businesses was, to teach and talk about marketing. And it kind of became its own business and got spun out into its own project. And now it's kind of my primary day job.
Is it all things digital marketing, or where does it focus primarily?
So what's funny about it is digital marketing used to be this very narrow subject. It was just build a website.
Right.
And now it's kind of becoming all things marketing. It's hard to do marketing without doing digital.
Okay.
You think about even video.
Yeah.
Where does video marketing become digital marketing? But we really loosely break it down into 8 kind of main, we call it the 8 critical core disciplines.
Okay.
And it has to do with really just funnel design. A lot of what we talk about is it's about generating awareness, but more and more we just go back to what are the tried and true things that have always worked in marketing, applying them to new channels. If you were to come to the digital marketer offices, all the art in the office is of old school direct response people. So we have giant pieces of custom art that we've had made that was old, David Ogilvy ads, and the old Charles Atlas ad. I don't know if you old enough to remember those comic books.
Well,
and
Ogilvy, absolutely.
Yeah,
But,
so all the old greats, that's what's around our office, because I want everybody on the digital marketer team to realize we're standing on the shoulders of these giants.
Yeah,
but it's the
modern
same
technology.
stuff. It's the same stuff.
Yeah, we're doing the exact same thing, right? The storytelling formats that we use are very timeless. The sales principles that we use, we've just gone and applied them to social media and to online video in a way that just is kind of fresh in incorporating comedy and branding and all that stuff into it. But yeah, it's the principles are as old as the sun. It seems like
there's nothing new under the sun.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so can you talk to me a little bit about your background of what kind of led you into that? What's your origin story look like?
Okay, depending on how far back I go. So
Birth, hopefully.
yeah, we're gonna start at birth. It was a wonderful, cozy womb. No, funny enough, I made my very first sale online in 1999. I was a freshman at the University of Texas in Austin. And the reason that I started doing that is that same year I met a girl, and I said, she's pretty cool. And within probably a couple of weeks of dating, I said, this is probably the woman I'm going to marry. I didn't tell her that because that would have been kind of creepy. But I knew. I didn't necessarily set out to. It's not like I went to college and said I want to meet my future wife my freshman year, but I didn't, and I just remember this thought, this sense of terror came over me, where it's like, wait a minute, if I'm gonna get married, I need to have a ring, and that needs to have a diamond on it, and diamonds are expensive, and I'm broke. And so the whole thing was, I just need to figure out how can I generate some extra money.
Get the diamond.
Right, that was really what it came down to. And I remember thinking, okay, they're about $10,000 if I can figure out how to make. And I did the math, and if I could just figure out a way. And I had a part-time job, but that just paid for food. There wasn't a whole lot left over after food and shelter. And it was 1999. The dot-com bubble hadn't yet burst, and I thought, I'll just start an internet company. Gosh, everybody else is. I taught myself how to do web design. Well, my roommate taught me how to do web design.
Okay.
And my very first client, I went out trying to pitch myself as a web designer. Nobody wanted to hire me because I'd never actually built a website. Weird. But finally, I found one lady through like a friend of a friend of a friend who she needed a website built, had $500 that she was going to give me. So I was like, I'll take it. And she was a lactation consultant. So here I am, a 19-year-old kid building a website for a lactation consultant. It was one of the more,
I'm assuming HTML.
Awkward.
Right?
Oh gosh, yeah. But just in general, I mean, I'm basically building a website with like breast pumps all over it. Like at 19, it was just embarrassing. Really awkward first start. So to make a long story a little bit shorter, she was unable to pay me. Her husband lost his job. She had to go back to work. Didn't need the website anymore. But she's really smart. She told me, I don't want to lose my clients once their kids wean. So I also want to produce this ebook on how to make your own baby food. So she had me help her produce and create this ebook on how to make your own baby food. So when she couldn't pay me, she said, it's fine. You can have the ebook on how to make your own baby food. What am I going to do with that?
That was your payment.
That was the payment.
Something that you were like, this is kind of worthless to me.
It's but I just remember thinking, what can I do with this? I didn't have money from the website, didn't have anything. And I went and I remember going online and saying, how many people actually are looking for this? This is back when Google would tell you how many people actually search for particular subjects. I found there were a lot of people searching for how to make your own baby food. So one night I built a simple little one-page website, put a download link to the PDF on a password protected page, and put it up for sale for $14. And I woke up the next morning and I'd sold one. And I said, there might be something here. So that was how it got started. To make a still long story slightly shorter, I did wind up buying the ring. I did wind up marrying the girl, and 15 years and 4 kids later, what started as a one little page website is now, a decent little digital publishing endeavor.
Awesome. That's great. So you already mentioned kind of one story where you had sort of a, not so ideal situation turn into something better. And the theme of this podcast is from poop to gold. So we always have our guests think in terms of that as think of times in your career when you've had a really crappy situation and you've been able to turn it into something positive. Do you have any other stories like that one where you got a payment of this ebook that you're like, oh, this is worthless, and then you turn it into something better? But
yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have tons because I've made a lot of really poor decisions in business. I remember so now fast forward, I've married the girl. We're a couple years, into marriage. Actually, probably about 4 years. Married, had 2 kids at that point. A nice big house with a nice big mortgage. And I remember getting a phone call. I remember it vividly. It was on a Sunday night, and I received a phone call from my accountant. I now know it's really bad when your accountant calls you on a Sunday night. And
at the time you didn't, and so you answered.
Yeah, and I answered. I was like, that's weird. Hey, and I remember just saying like, "Wow, you had a really good year last year." I now know it's bad when your accountant compliments you on the year that you had the previous year, and basically said, "Please tell me you've paid some quarterly payments that I don't know about, because by my calculations, you owe about $250,000 to the IRS. Please tell me you have that." And I said, "I don't have that." And I just remember feeling crushed because, prior to that, I had got myself in about $250,000 of credit card debt. So the first really year that my wife and I were married, things got hard. I mean, I've talked about it before, but there were a lot of regulations and standardization that came in the industry, and Google made it a lot more difficult to buy advertising. Ad costs went up. SEO got a lot harder. And in trying to figure it out, I wound up getting $250,000 in credit card debt buying Google ads. Like this, I wasn't buying Lamborghinis. I was buying Google ads. So 2 years after that, I finally have dug myself out of this hole. I didn't have to file bankruptcy. I'm feeling like, I'm finally just broke.
Free of all that
stuff.
Yeah,
I didn't want to be rich. I just want to be broke. I just wanted to be at zero.
New baseline.
And I had this year, and I'm feeling like, yes, we're there. What I didn't realize is the way that I got myself out of that hole was by not paying the IRS.
It's
so
convenient.
I just went from owing,
You heard it here first, folks. Ryan says, do not pay the IRS.
I will actually, people ask me all the time, what's your biggest step? I'll say, pay your taxes. Because it's bad, it's one thing to owe a bunch of money to Visa and MasterCard. It's another thing to owe money to an institution that has missiles, right?
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with them. So yeah, so I remember getting that phone call, and it's Sunday, and April 15th, tax day was on Thursday. And I remember sitting there, and it's one of the only couple times in my adult life that I cried. Like, I'm sitting there on the couch, kids were in bed, my wife's sitting right next to me, thinking like, I knew that it would be okay eventually, but I just knew it's like back on the treadmill. Like, I got to go back. I thought I was through it, and I'm not. And just that sense of like, I don't know if I want to do this anymore. And I just remember my wife sitting there, and she just said, I don't know why you're so upset. You'll figure something out. You always do. And then she just got up and went to bed. And I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
That was pretty, it was exactly what I needed, to hear. And I told her, I said, can I have permission? I just want 24 hours to mope and feel sorry for myself. And so I got 24 hours to mope and feel sorry for myself. The next day I pulled an all-nighter. And what I did is I created 6 different offers for the 6 different companies that I was running at that time. And what I did, I said, I can't build all this stuff from scratch. So I looked back over the previous 12 months. I said, what campaign did we do over the previous 12 months that worked the best? What if I just do that again? Now that sounds really obvious, but at the time, I never repeated offers. If we did a sale, or if we did a promotion, or even if we launched a product, I was always thinking, I got to come up with a new.
Yeah.
I've got to come up with new. I never thought if it worked before, it might just work again.
Yeah.
So as silly as that sounds, so I just went back and said, which one worked the best? I'm looking through my shopping carts and things like that. Okay, what did I do this month? What did I do that week? Look at where sales spiked. And I pulled it, reformatted the emails. In some cases it was something around a holiday, so I couldn't use it, so I had to create some other ones. But that I pulled an all-nighter and created 6 campaigns for 6 different companies. Press send on broadcasts to all of them. Went to bed and woke up the next morning, and there was $70,000 across all of them. And I remember thinking, okay, I've got a shot.
That's so cool.
I've got a shot, and I've kept going over the next couple of days. And that week, I generated enough in revenues, a little over $300,000. I generated enough in revenue to both cover my $250,000 tax bill and the taxes I now owed on the money to pay the tax bill.
Yes,
See, I learned my lesson.
exactly. No, yeah.
I generated all this revenue, and I sent all of it to the IRS. And for the first time in probably 5-6 years, I was officially broke, and it felt amazing. I was back at zero.
That's so cool.
It felt great. So yeah, I would tell people, definitely keep an eye on your cash flow. Pay your taxes.
So what's so cool about that story is the fact that, like you said, necessity is kind of that, mother of invention, and you had to that ability to go and run an additional campaign that had already worked in the past was sitting in front of your face that entire time. But had you not gone through that low of like, I've got to do something, you probably wouldn't have opened up your mind to it in that way.
I know for a fact I wouldn't, because I didn't.
Yeah.
I think success makes you stupid.
Okay,
it really
yeah.
does. I think success makes you lazy. Success makes you fat. And we learn when we lose.
Yes.
We learn when we fail. And I think success is the benefit of a series of combined failures and losses that you learned from, and it's a painful way. I mean, I think I figured out a lot of stuff, and it's generally because I got myself in a really bad situation. I wish I were more wise to learn. That's why, frankly, I read more books now, because books generally are the best books are written by people who have fallen pretty hard and learned from it. I think that's a way to shortcut and to learn without having to make your own mistakes.
Yeah.
But I absolutely agree. I don't believe had I not had my back against the wall that I would have thought about it.
That's great. That's really good advice. Read more, and kind of one of the things I say a lot around Harmon Brothers is that you want to embrace embarrassment. So for a creative, when we approach different projects, sometimes you get really precious about your creation, whether it's a script or whether it's an edit or some sort of an idea you have where, oh, do I really want to run it by those other people and then have them pick it apart and me feel really yucky and go through that process. But the sooner you can get to that failure, like you said, that's the next step towards success.
I think it has to do with 2 things. Number one, be careful where you place your identity. Mm-hmm. So if your identity is if your identity is around your creation and this work that you're putting out there, then I think you're going to have a very difficult and challenging life as a creator, especially. So if you're going to identify first and foremost as, as a husband, as a father, or as something else, then your creation is just that. It's something that you created. There's a part of you that's certainly in it, of course, but it's not the whole of you.
Right.
And I think also it's acknowledging, I deal with this now because we just launched a new software project out of DigitalMarketer. We spun out a new company. And so I'm taking a brand new product to market, and my team on this, they've only really known us, they're coming out of DigitalMarketer where we get to look smart because we've been doing this for over 10 years and we figured a lot of things out, and going back, we repeat a lot of the things that worked in the past. So we've stockpiled a lot of winners. Well, now we're going out with a brand new product into a brand new market. We don't know anything. And so we're going to have to go out there and try a lot of stuff, and it's going to fail. And so I'm having to set their expectations and say, we're going to go and we're going to do some stuff. Expect most of it not to work.
Right.
But expect us to learn from all of it. And in fact, you don't actually, when something does work, you learn almost nothing because you have no way of knowing, were we right or lucky? When it doesn't work, you at least know this clearly failed. You have way more to learn. Scientists get this. Scientists, it's perfectly acceptable in science to run an experiment that fails, that doesn't meet with your hypothesis.
Yeah, at the heart of it is the scientific process.
Yeah. And so be careful where you place your identity, and also acknowledge to yourself, and certainly if you're working with a team, this is a part of the process. We're going to put it out there. Probably nobody's going to like it. We're going to learn. We're going to fix it, make it better. And let's just be thankful for the fact that we're able to do that there are people who will give us feedback. And let's be thankful for the fact that we live in a time where we can test in small increments, that we don't have to run this campaign out to, can you imagine? I mean, truly you. So I'll flip this. You mind if I ask you a question?
Fire away.
How terrified would you be if somebody came to you and said, we want to run a Super Bowl ad? Now,
we already experienced that.
Oh, really? Did you? But if they
I
said,
was terrified.
They said nobody can see it. You can't test it. You can't run a snippet.
No,
we want to keep it all under wraps.
Yeah, it was genuinely terrifying because our traditional way, our way of doing things is very much to test to what works best, because we don't necessarily know at a gut level, right? That's the great starting point. But from there, you have to get the feedback of an audience, of real people, of a real market. And we had a potential client approach us about doing just that. And yeah, I was like, holy mackerel. We were going to do it. We were going to go for it if they wanted to go ahead. But things turned out that the green light never happened. But I was scared for that very reason.
Yeah. And I like doing things where I don't like a zero-sum game. I don't like an all or nothing. I don't want to skydive. Shoot opens, shoot doesn't. I don't like that. I know it pretty much always opens, except when it doesn't. I don't want that. I don't like it to be that binary. So I think I'm thankful that we do live in time. We have technology. We can test cheap. We can test small. It's part of the process.
Yeah, I love that. We say that all the time. Do it cheap before you do it expensive. Like you said, testing cheap and small, getting your minimum viable product, all that stuff. Great principles. Well, since you've got Traffic and Conversion Summit that you've obviously been running with now for 10 years.
Yeah, 10 years.
Want to ask a little bit about kind of your approach to networking, because that's got to be a huge part of building that business, right? Is just getting to know people and plugging them into the right places and stuff. What's your approach to networking?
So I'm an introvert, and my approach to networking is to go and hide in the corner away from all the strangers that want to stab me and sell me drugs. And I'll tell you, it's very, very difficult for me. What I do is knowing that that's difficult, and yet I still need to do it. I have somebody on my team who is the exact opposite.
Okay.
And it is his job to go and to make friends so I don't have to, and then to introduce me to them and to vet these types of relationships. So I am really good when it's time to have a business discussion. Yeah. So let's sit down and do this. And once it's there, now we can hang out and we can be friends. But the small talk that leads up to it, the business development, the boo finger guns, I'm bad at it. I don't like it. I make it awkward for everyone involved. I've learned it's just best that I not do it. And so now I've got somebody on the team who did it. Prior to us being in a position where we could have somebody full time that's what they did, I did it. I sucked it up. And I just said, you're going to go and you're going to talk to X number of people. I remember at Traffic and Conversion Summit, this would have been 5 years ago.
So that's how you would do it, is you would set a goal of how many people you were going to talk to, and then you would just go do that like it was sales calls.
Absolutely. I'm going to go and do this. And I learned it from being in sales. I mean, the job that I had coming right out of college, before I quit to go full-time with my business, we had to make 100 dials a day. That was it.
Yeah.
You dialed the phone 100 times.
Or you lose.
Yeah, that was it. That was what I did. So Traffic Conversion Summit, 5 years ago, we pivoted, when DigitalMarketer pivoted from just selling courses to actually selling certifications. I didn't know if anybody actually wanted it or who would want it. So I said from the stage, this is the direction that we're headed. This is what we're doing. If you think you might be interested, I'll be at the booth all day. Come and talk to me. And I remember saying those words from the stage in a room full of probably about 2,500, 3,000 people, and just dying inside that I had just said it. But now there was no going back. I was going to have those, and I sat at the booth all day long, and I talked to a couple hundred people. But by the time I was done that day, I knew exactly who our ideal target market was. I knew the words that would get them. And so, but I had to say, that day I said, I want to have at least 50 conversations.
Yeah.
And I stopped counting after 50, but that's what I do. I'm gonna go and do this. It's just, you have to do it. I don't like it when people say, oh, I can't do that. Shut up. There's nothing you're being asked to do in the world today that's like actually that difficult. If somebody's like, I need you to run from, Texas to California. Like, that's one of those things, like, okay, you might be physically incapable of doing that, but even then it's like, how long do I have?
That's right.
I think people give up way too quickly.
That's great. It's not great that they give up way too quickly, but it's great advice that we can all suck it up and get through stuff that's hard, right?
It's good for us that maybe our competitors give up too quickly.
There you go. Where should our audience search you out? Where do you want to point them?
Yeah, so on Twitter, that's me.
Okay.
I mean, I've got folks that will post on my behalf sometimes, but if you see me and you tweet out to me, I'm likely to respond, personally. I may not do it immediately if I'm traveling, but I love Twitter because I love the brevity of the conversation, getting back to the introversion side. But Twitter and LinkedIn for sure. So if you search, Ryan Deiss there. Facebook is all my team. I'll be honest. That's it's just too much. I
appreciate the transparency
to keep up with. But I really like Twitter, and also just digitalmarketer.com.
Okay.
That's where we're putting out our best stuff.
Yep. Awesome. I've got a gift here for you, Ryan. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. But This is our book, From Poop to Gold.
Thank you very much.
This one also right here is Unicorn Gold from Squatty Potty, which is
nice.
A toilet spray, and then Taos Bakes, those little energy bars right there.
Very nice. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming on, and
I would say thanks for the work that you do. It's really inspired a lot of what we've done. I was passing around your videos
thank
years
you so
ago.
much for doing that.
I did a podcast episode all about the Chatbooks ad, trying to deconstruct that. So I've learned tremendously from watching the work that you've done and everybody at the Harmon Brothers have done. So thanks for showing that that direct response can still be funny and it can still be cool and still be effective.
Oh, thank you very much.
It's not that they're not mutually exclusive.
Awesome. That's what we're going for. Thank you. So guys, remember to like, follow, subscribe, share, all that good stuff, and we'll see you on the next one.